Hi everyone, we haven't done a video in a while. I get a lot of questions about this. So we're going to do a video about Zonda modifications. Basically the bare minimum necessities that the Zonda would need. Let's put some light on the situation. So, number one, drive shafts. I get a lot of questions about the two-piece drive shafts. People don't know how to remove them. So to remove them, you need to loosen that little set screw. It's a 1.5 millimeter screw. Then loosen this 2 millimeter screw. Then you have a nut right here. This one. Loosen that nut. It's a 13 millimeter wrench. You do not have to take the whole end of the drive off. The part that's bolted to the back of the boat, this part, you do not have to remove that to remove the two-piece drive shafts. This is the easier way of doing it. You're going to have to loosen the coupler, just like any other drive shaft. Loosen the collet or the coupler, whatever you want to call it. So once you loosen those, you can get this piece off of the back of the boat. Then inside will be the drive shaft. You loosen the coupler, you grab this with pliers, and you just pull that drive shaft out. As far as the stub shaft, this piece, you just loosen it with you loosen the drive dog. Take the drive dog off, 2 millimeter wrench, pull it off, and then this comes out frontwards. Just pull it out the front. But you don't have to take this piece off, and some people think you have to pull the motors out to do it. You don't have to do either. Now the other question is, I get, what is necessary to put in the one-piece drive shaft? And the answer is nothing other than the one-piece drive shaft. So you need a one-piece drive shaft. I like to use the TFL 510B50 drive shaft. It has pretty good tolerances, and same manufacturer made the bushing as the drive shaft. It's got a pretty tight fit. You can replace the plastic tube, but all you would do is go about this much longer. So you would only need to go maybe 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch longer. If you do that, it's really not necessary. I would just leave the factory plastic tubes in there. Put in your new drive shaft. You can reuse the drive dog, and you should be fine. The other question that I get is, why do they do a two-piece drive shaft? Well, there's two benefits to the two-piece drive shaft as far as I've seen it. One, by this sitting against the bushing, this seems to keep out water just slightly better than a one-piece drive shaft would. The second benefit of the two-piece drive shaft is this. If you break the flex shaft, you will not lose the prop. So even if you break the flex, you won't lose your prop because the stub shaft can't come out. But get yourself some one-piece drive shafts and you'll be good to go. The benefit of the one-piece drive shaft is all you have to do is loosen your coupler, loosen it, and then pull the entire drive shaft out. So the benefit is maintenance. Much easier maintenance. Second thing, really simple, is the little shear screw. The stock shear screw, I don't know if you can see it through the bag, but The stock shear screw on the Zonda is plastic. They're very weak. Same goes for the Zelos. The Miscaiko is probably the same way. I've replaced all of them with a simple brass screw. This will still break if you hit something. It's just not going to break as easily as the plastic ones do. So the next thing is the motor to ESC connectors. These are the stock motor connectors. They are 4mm. If you're running stock props or maybe a very small upgrade prop, you should be just fine running the stock connectors. I did go 102 miles an hour with these connectors, but I was pushing them way past the limit of what you should do with them. So what I ended up getting, some Castle 6.5mm high current connector. Actually, I didn't even get these. I had these, and that's what I ended up installing. You can also go with generic 6mm connectors, especially if you're putting big props. If you're trying to go fast and you're putting big props on this thing, definitely upgrade the connectors. Like I said, if you're running stock props, the stock connectors are just fine. Next thing, something we overlook but pretty important. I'm usually the guy that puts bright green battery straps on a black boat, and I'm the only one in the world that thinks that it looks good. So in this situation, I got some nice blue battery straps. I had a box of battery straps, and I'm like, oh, these are going to be perfect for the Zonda. And I put them in. Unfortunately, they're really cheap. They're kind of plasticky feeling. And I did not end up going 100 miles an hour with this boat until I replaced these. The issue with these was they don't hold the battery very well, and the battery slides. It moves over, changes the center of gravity, and affects how your boat handles. I installed a set of, you can use whatever brand you want. I use our RJX. These are like rubber coated. They're for FPV drones. They're rubber coated battery straps. And when you put these on, your battery stays fit. Only in a bad flip will the battery end up moving. For the most part, the battery will stay exactly where you put it. But I went from this, put on a set of these, and that was the first time that I broke 100 miles an hour with this boat. And I couldn't do it with these just because it wouldn't keep my battery steady. Number 5 is props. Get yourself some good props. My suggestion is, as far as the props go, get a prop that'll go 20 mile an hour, 25 mile an hour, maybe even 30 mile an hour faster than stock, and you're going to have plenty of fun with it without having a bunch of problems. If you go with big props, bigger props cause bigger problems. So get one of those, start on something like that, dial the boat into where it's running really well, and then if you still want more after that, then go to the next step. Another thing I wanted to mention, if you just got a Zonda, the Zonda is set up for outward prop rotation. Pro Boat runs inward. All the TFL Twin Cats, Cheetah, Zonda, and so on run outward like this. So if you get one, save yourself a bunch of trouble. Just put the props on outward. You're going to plug the receiver in, put your connectors on, and the boat is going to work like it should. If you choose to go to inward rotation down the road, then that's fine. But put them on outward, and it's going to save you a bunch of trouble, and the boat's going to work like it should. The drive shafts, the couplers, the motor connectors are all set up to go outward. Of course, you could take this even further. We could talk about motors, we could talk about ESCs and so on. If you're running the stock motors, I personally wouldn't upgrade the ESCs. Some people think that putting in seeking 180s, the boat will go faster. In most cases, it won't go faster. If you're upgrading the motor, then yeah, absolutely upgrade the ESC. But if you're running the stock motors, the stock ESCs work just fine. One thing that I forgot to mention about the coupler that I wanted to mention. Don't use two 10mm wrenches. This right here is 9mm. 9mm right there. 9mm is an oddball wrench. If you don't have a 9mm, what works is a standard 3/8. Put a 3/8 on this side and use a 10mm on this side. It'll be a little quicker to take the coupler off versus using a 10mm, which fits very, very sloppy. That's it. Thanks for watching.